Hi, hello there, good day. How are you doing today? My name is Marvel and I welcome you to another episode of the Marvel's Diary. Have you been? Hope you're good and I hope you're subscribing and liking. Anyways, I've got an amazing person with me today in the studio, and that is my very good friend, the big DSA. Hi DSA, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing okay. It's lovely to be here.
I mean, it's amazing to have you here. I ain't gonna lie, man. Thank you for buzzing in.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We've always had talks about doing this, but
Yeah.
I'm happy I'm actually doing it right now.
Amazing. All right, so before we go further, I'd like DSA to give us a brief introduction about himself. So DSA, who do you say you are?
Hi, my name is DSA, and that's an acronym that stands for Dark Skin Alien. I'm pretty sure that sounds weird, but maybe some other time you get to hear the story of how that was formulated. But yeah, quick introduction. I'm a creative and I'm on a journey of inspiring my generation through technology, through mental enlightenment, and through community.
I've seen what you've been doing over the couple of years that we've been friends, and in the recent times, the bold steps that you've taken to make life better for a couple of persons, bringing people into what you think is the next big thing, of course, which is the Web3 amongst other things that you've done. Recently, you went to your alma mater, a school, to give them enlightenment about stuff. I mean, you went with a great team, saw the images, saw the video, saw the impact that it's making, and I'm gonna lie, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for bringing the new generation into these things early, so that we could amass wealth of knowledge, of skill, and of course monetarily too, amongst all of these things. It's so nice to have you here.
Definitely, thank you very much.
All right, so speaking of which, I'm going to bring you to the topic of the day. Why mindset matters for success? Because if we're saying there's a mindset for success, we should also have a reason why there's a need for the mindset of it. Can you talk to us about that?
All right, so I'm going to refer to the good book, right? There's a portion of the Bible that says, "As the heart of a man thinketh."
So easy.
Right?
Yeah.
And that goes far beyond the spiritual perspective, right? The thoughts that you have, right, they in turn become the reality that you possess.
The thoughts that you have,
Thoughts that you have,
they in turn become the reality that you possess. Wow, amazing.
And for me, when it comes to success, there's a certain kind of mindset that you need to have. Firstly, a person cannot be successful if he or she believes that he's a failure.
Wow, yeah.
There's no coming out of that rabbit hole. If you believe that you cannot be successful, then there's nothing that anybody will do. Even if you are put in the right rooms, even if you are given the best opportunities, you are always going to make a flop out of it. Because why? Your mind is not right.
Yeah.
And it's out of your mind that the rivers of your creativity, of your intellect, everything else flows, right? So why it's important for success is having a growth mindset. Like I said, the growth mindset is the key algorithm that trickles down into success.
All right.
When you are faced with opportunities or you're faced with even difficulties, of which I'm going to speak a lot more on difficulty, because a lot of people have this mindset that success is all about winning. And I'm going to tell you today that success is not about winning. Success is about how well you fail. Success is about failure and how well
You failed.
right? There's something about failing backward with a fixed mindset that, oh, I failed, I cannot do this. And there's something about failing forward and saying, oh, I failed. So because I have a growth mindset, I'm able to see the opportunities of what I can do better next time. I'm able to attempt this opportunity again. I'm able to go down this route again, because now I have a better knowledge of what I'm supposed to do more, what I'm supposed to do less. It paints a picture of everything you're supposed to do. And in turn, you are learning, because there's this saying that failure is the first step to learning.
All right.
Failure is the first step to learning. And the more you fail, the more you become better. And that ultimately will lead you into success. So for me, why mindset matters the most is when you are faced with opportunities or difficulties, especially in whatever walk of life that you're in, right? The journey for greatness, it starts within the mind.
Awesome.
Right? And it starts with you. So whatever niche you are you in the medical sector, are you in the technological sector, are you in the mechanical sector, whatever parts, right, you are aiming for success. And if you don't believe that you are going to be a success, then there's no point in even trying.
Wow,
right?
awesome.
There's no point in trying. So that's why I feel mindset is very important. And when you have a successful mindset, that triggers you to feel successful. I was reading something, and he went in the direction of the person that you want to become. If you have aspirations to become a billionaire, you have to start feeling and acting like you're already a billionaire. And that involves you taking on the habits, you taking on the mindset, you trying to procure the actions to which will ultimately lead you into that form of success that you're seeking for. So the mindset is important because when you start to think successful thoughts, right, it trickles down to you starting to feel successful. And in that feeling of success, it tends to push you to have transformative action, right? In whatever niche that you find yourself, you're able to do more. You're able to push yourself past your limits. You're able to be more of what you can be. You're able to go the extra mile, right? And those actions collectively would form the habits, of which the habits of success are, discipline, consistency, hard work, being able to fail forward, right? You have all of these things imbibed in you, and it's inevitable that if you take this route in whatever craft that you find yourself, in whatever niche that you find yourself, that you wouldn't ultimately end up being successful. I'm saying it because I've tried it, and I see how much of a success that I'm able to garner. And I've also, as much as I've had achievements, I've also had failures. But the thing about it is I have a different mindset to it. I have a growth mindset. I'm able to move forward past whatever difficulties I might find. And even when I see opportunities, right, I'm able to do more with it than a person who has a fixed mindset.
Awesome conversations from there. I mean, I really love what you're saying, and I really hope it's helping someone out there to get a better perspective of themselves and come into the growth mindset. However, I'd like to also ask you to talk a little bit about this mindset and mental enlightenment.
Mental enlightenment, since we already have the basis of what our mindset is, mental enlightenment is a state of deep consciousness. Deep consciousness in knowledge of yourself, the knowing of who you are, having a heightened sense of your self-perception, right? And mental enlightenment is something that a lot of people are lacking because a lot of people do not know themselves at their core. They do not know their strengths, they do not know their weaknesses, especially when it comes to a mental space, right? And mental enlightenment is opening that Pandora's box of yourself and having to take a closer look at who you are, right? Know how far you're willing to go, and know what are your limitations, and know how well you're able to handle all the situations and circumstances that life has dealt you, right? So mental enlightenment is a very crucial thing, because before you can get to know anybody else, before you can get to interact with anybody else, before you can get to have an understanding of who somebody else is, you need to first have an understanding of yourself.
Awesome. That's a very great one. So how does this relate to emotional intelligence?
All right, like I said, mental enlightenment and even our mindset, they trigger certain things. There are certain mechanisms to which our mind is being utilized, and one of them is feelings, right? Emotion.
Yeah.
I personally feel like emotions, feelings are the language of the mind. Right?
Emotions and feelings are the language of the mind.
All right. If you think that you're hungry, how do you process that information? You start to feel that little grumble in your stomach, right?
Yeah.
You start to say, oh, I feel like I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I want to eat so and so thing. I want to eat whatever comes to your mind. And these emotions can be very overwhelming, right? So one has to be able to regulate his or herself at every given interval. You are supposed to be able to regulate what your emotions are, especially when it comes to relation with other people. Because human beings as a whole, we are all social creatures, right? We need that intercommunication, we need that interrelation. And a person having emotional intelligence is very important, because that's you having an inward picture of your feelings and knowing, okay, this thing puts me in this state of mind, right? This thing puts me in this state of mind, and if I'm in this state of mind, I cannot go ahead to facilitate this thing, or I cannot go ahead to be all giddy and high-five with everybody today. It puts you in a state where you're able to regulate
how you respond to things,
right? How you respond to things, how you talk to other people, how you manage being in a space with other people, because other people too are emotional beings, right? And emotional intelligence is not just only for yourself, but to have an awareness of the emotions of other people, right? Because it does make a difference, and it helps you be a better person. It helps you have better community structures. It helps you have better communication standard, and for those that are leaders, it helps you be a better leader because you're able to understand and have a good perception of other people's feelings, because you are firstly understanding of your own.
Right.
And that is a very huge factor to successful people and successful relationships.
All right, that's amazing. But I also have more questions for you, and all from what you're saying. So if these things are important, how do we then overcome mental block or this fixed mindset? How do we push beyond that?
In relation to how to overcome mental blocks or a fixed mindset, I personally have had the experiences of having a fixed mindset and feeling like nothing is going to change for the better. But how I've been able to utilize my mind and channel it into the narrative of having a growth mindset is pushing myself constantly to never see things as they are, right? And that begins with you. That begins with the perception that you have of yourself. You need to be able to learn yourself, understand yourself, and have the knowledge that you are more than everything that your present circumstance is or your present situation is. You need to be able to have a limitless mindset, limitless thought process, because that's how it starts, right? Like I mentioned earlier, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? So you need to have that mindset of, I can be better. You need to have that mindset of, I can do more. If you're faced with a closed door, have the mindset that I can turn this into an open window. Have the mindset that no space is limited, no space is too small, right? Even if you're giving a seed of rice, have a mindset that you can turn this into a whole farmland of produce, right? Never sulk into limitation.
Never sulk into limitation.
Yes, and I feel like that's a very important thing, because like I said, it all starts from the mind, and out of the produce of your thoughts, so does your reality begin to take shape. So think positively, think positive thoughts, and positive thoughts can only come with the understanding of you and who you are, right? Who you are at your core, who you are at your essence. And I feel like that's very important. Understanding oneself is a very crucial factor in understanding and moving forward, finding success.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. All right. So from what you just said now, does that mean that there is a direct relation on how your mindset is in and how much you can prosper in your personal life and also in your career?
Yes, absolutely. Because like I said, the mind is the defining metric, right? If you don't believe that you're powerful, you are not going to be powerful. If you don't believe that you're strong, you're not going to be strong. If you don't believe that you are going to be a success, you're not going to be a success. Because it's out of that mindset to which you start to feel things, and it's out of those feelings to which you start to seek for actions that will correlate to the cause of what you're trying to do, right? And that's a very important thing, especially down here in Africa, because nobody really pays attention to their mindset. Everybody feels, oh, I have this degree, I have this certificate, I have this skill set, and that's what defines me being a success, right? But your mind is a very key thing, right? Just knowing that whatever obstacles you run into will never slow you down, will never phase you. Any roadblock that you come in contact with, you are always going to find a way to go around it. That already puts you ahead of the person that is going to come to that roadblock and stand there or sit there and cry and wait for some miracle, right? It all starts with you in the first place, because nobody can build anything. Nobody can help you. Even if they give you the best opportunities right now, if you are not confident enough that you can carry out those opportunities, there's no
way it's gonna work,
right?
Awesome.
So it all starts from within. It all starts from how you tune your mind in the frequency of success, and know that, okay, in my personal life, I am going to be this. You have goals, you have standards, you have an understanding of who you are. You've been able to build discipline, you've been able to build confidence. There alone, you can walk into any room and feel as authentic as possible. You can feel as powerful as possible. And of course, it shows, because people pay attention to this type of things. And of course, it's going to give you tremendous growth.
Awesome. All right. So from what you've said so far, can you also say that this emotional intelligence and this mindset for success has something to do with personal development?
Yes, it does. It does have something to do with personal development, because I believe before we are a brand, before we are a company, it all boils down to human beings.
You're first a person.
Yeah, you're first a person. Before you are a doctor, you're first a person. And your personal development should be something you take very importantly, because as much as people seek out for your degrees, right, people also seek out for who you are as an individual. They want to know that you are trustworthy, right? They want to know that you've been able to have a sense of personal growth, right? And personal growth is something that is very efficient, because it takes you from here to here. If you are able to have always your
Skills,
right, your skills as a person,
value,
right? Whatever situation you come in, all you can do is make it better. Because you already have a foundation of discipline, you already have a foundation of consistency. You are able to trust yourself that, oh, if I set this goal, or if I'm going to do this task, I'm definitely going to do it. There's nothing that's going to stop me from doing this task, right? It's you being able to push yourself and do more. Definitely, it's going to affect your personal growth.
All right, awesome. So what can we consider as practical ways to develop this growth mindset?
Practical ways to develop this growth mindset. I would say, firstly, be authentically and unapologetically yourself. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to just share a personal story. When I was in high school, I was in SS2 or so maybe, and we usually take the bus back home. So there were these two guys in my class rather, that were my classmates, and how the stops are is, if we're taking the bus back home, one person is going to stop here, the next person is going to stop at the next junction, and then these boys got to their junction as the bus was going home, and as the bus was moving, they came down from the bus while it was still moving. You know, this thing that conductors do now?
Yeah.
And it was so dope. In my head, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. These guys just pulled off with a huge stunt. Everybody in the bus was clapping.
Wow.
And then it was getting to my stop, and I'm like, oh man, I love this. The fact that everybody hailed these people. Let me try and recreate what they did. Having no knowledge, having no idea how
they did it.
Having no thought process whatsoever. I just wanted the gratification of that. And I got to my stop. The bus was about to come to a stop, and I told the driver, don't stop, keep moving. And I came down from the bus. I was about to do some James Bond stuff and run home. But to my mistake, I fell flat on my face. I fell flat on my face. And that changed everything for me that day. I was laughed at both in the bus, as I could see people in the bus laughing. And when I got to school
the next day,
right? And that day changed something in me. It made me understand that being yourself is one of the key factors to anything, right? It all starts with you. Knowing your strengths, knowing your limitations, knowing who you are as a person, not trying to be like everybody else because you don't know the mechanism to which they achieved whatever they are achieving, right? So it all starts from within. Having a knowledge of you, I believe is such a thing to take away, and knowing that within yourself, you are not in competition with anybody. You are taking it as slowly as you can through your journey, because your journey is personal for you. And being authentically yourself is such a practical way to improve your mindset, because then you have an understanding of your strengths, you have an understanding of your weakness, you know what you can do at the moment and what you cannot do, right? And the second thing is embracing challenges, right? It's a practical way of improving your mindset. Don't run from any problem. You know how they tell you when you go to the gym or you're working out, the weights don't get lighter, you get stronger. And in a bid to get stronger, you have to go through a breaking down process of your muscles, of your ligaments, of your tissues, right? And in that weakness, you find strength. So don't run away from challenges. If you're faced with a problem, I have to do this task and I feel so overwhelmed by it, fine, you can take a breather, fine, you can get some air, clear your head, but do not run. As much as you can take some time back to reflect on it, always go back to it, because it's going to ultimately shape your mind to not run from circumstances, so that when you run into challenges, when you run into obstacles, you are not phased. And that builds your mind, that strengthens your mind, because you know that nothing can stand in your way, right? And then another thing is embracing failure. I talked about failure earlier in this session, and I said failure is the beginning of learning. A lot of us don't want to fail. A lot of us feel like success is you're just supposed to keep winning and winning and winning and winning and winning.
Yeah.
Everybody that you see that has a success story has gone through series of failures. I was listening to Denzel Washington speak, and he went for an audition for a show on Broadway, and it was a musical, and he was perfect for the role, but there was one problem: he could not speak. Right? He could not sing, rather.
Okay.
He could not sing because he didn't have the voice of a singer, and he got denied the role. Now, this was Denzel Washington 30 years prior to, even before
he became what he became.
What he is, right? And if he had said, I give up, why is this? I don't want to, I failed at this audition, I'm not going to achieve this dream, he could have given up, and we wouldn't have seen all the great movies that he has done so far. So it's like he embraced the failure of that audition, and the next morning he woke up, went to another audition, the next morning he woke up, went to another audition, and 30 years after that, he went back to that place he had that audition for his musical, right? And he had a movie listening session.
Wow.
Right, a movie watch session. And that goes to show you the power of his mind at that time. He embraced what his failure was, and he turned it ultimately into a success. So let's not run away from failure, right? Failure is only going to teach you what to do better. It's only going to teach you how to organize yourself a lot better. It's only going to teach you about the things you did wrong and give you a chance to make them right, right? So embracing the fact that failure is not the end of the road. Failure is only but a stepping stone will definitely improve your mindset a whole lot.
Wow, that was a beautiful conversation. I want to say thank you so much for such an amazing conversation so far. I mean, we're rounding up the podcast already, and I want you to give the listeners something to take home with. What could be the practical steps to build this mindset? What would you say, like a giveaway from this podcast?
All right, there are a lot of steps actually, but I'm just going to leave you with a couple, and one of those would be set small achievable goals. Right? I'm not saying you should set goals that you want to be the president of Nigeria today, and tomorrow morning you want to wake up and be president of Nigeria. That's an unactualized goal right now. But you can set small achievable goals that build your mind and give you a trustworthy feeling of yourself. You can wake up in the morning, and for those that do to-do lists or you journal, you can say, do so and so amounts of exercises, right? For those that have morning chores, do so and so amount of your chores. That way, you are able to achieve those small tiny things, which sets the stage for much larger goals, right? So it's from the simple things, it's from the little steps. Just like how a person that is obese and they want the person to slim down, right? The person doesn't have to start running a marathon at first. It starts from taking the first simple walks to build strength and endurance, and then from walking it turns into running. From running it turns into now you can participate in a marathon, right? It turns into you having to now lose weight and build strength. So set small achievable goals, right? Because they'll be very essential to setting the bigger stage for every other thing you want to achieve. Because if you trust yourself to do little things, you have a mindset that you can achieve anything, even when it's bigger. Number 2, embrace challenges. We just talked about it not so long ago. Embrace challenges. Don't run from a fight, right? Don't run from a fight. There's a saying, when you have your back in the corner, that's when you are most productive. That's when you are most agile, because you know you have no options. Don't run from challenges, because there will always be challenges, right? Life is not a bed of roses, like they always say. There will always be challenges. Do not run from the challenges that you run into, because ultimately, when you overcome them, they will eventually lead you to success. And then another one is practice self-reflection. Always go back to the drawing board, and that starts with you being authentically you, not trying to be another person. That goes back to you looking within and seeing yourself for who you are, because then you are able to understand, oh, this is what I'm able to do at this time. This is the actionable steps that I'm able to take. These are the challenges that I'm choosing to embrace at this time. And I'm going to do this, and work towards these goals. And lastly, another thing is plan. Plan. There's a saying, he that fails to plan plans to fail.
Yeah.
So for success, you need to have a plan. And when you are able to have that plan, then you work it back through small achievable goals, right? And then you work your way down to the source of the idea. And as soon as you start to achieve those little goals, of course, you're going to get to the top of it. It's like a ladder. If you're going up, you take each simple step, and it will definitely take you to the top. So obviously, see you at the top, guys.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much, DSA, for such an amazing session. I'm so grateful. I'm happy we were able to do this. I hope we were able to do this maybe some other time again and all of that. But yeah, it's been a productive podcast for me so far. I mean, I'm going to listen to this again, and I'm going to do justice to it on my hand, because I want to be better at every point of my life. I'm learning to build values too, and I hope you are too. An amazing time, amazing season with her, and I'm gonna say thank you for watching so far. Thank you for opening on this so far, and if you're listening, maybe on the audio platforms alone, I want to say thank you so much for listening this far. Remember to like, remember to drop a comment, remember to subscribe also, and I'll catch you on the other episode of the Marvelous Diary. Cheers.